All right, so to date, you survived the previous tasks that include the qualitative analysis, your pastel analysis, your competitor analysis, the strengths and weaknesses analysis. You also should have created the graphs um, and perform the mean score analysis, forecasting with the previous topic using the linear regression or trend line projection. Now we come to the last part of this assessment advice presentation. This includes the correlations coefficient and business performance ranking. Okay, we are going to discuss the business performance ranking briefly because it is also one of the tasks that we need to complete for this one. Okay, the tasks include the correlations coefficient value and also your interpretation of the correlation coefficient value. If you can perform the linear regression analysis, forecasting using trend line projection or linear regression, you should be able to perform this task easily, because this one, I hear a feedback from people that this one should be easier than the previous one. Okay, now let's have a look at the concepts. Correlations is actually to determine whether two variables are statistically correlated. Okay, so that's why we use the correlations coefficients tool. We normally use the one from Pearson, correlations coefficient Pearson, and it is denoted by the symbol R. And R value or correlation coefficient value always lie between -1 and +1 inclusive. Okay, so if your correlation coefficient value is, let's say, -1.1, then there should be something wrong. Okay? Or if your correlation coefficient value is +1.05, so there should be something wrong. You need to revisit your calculations. Okay, now this is important. If R has positive value, or if the correlations coefficient value is positive, this means that the points on the scatter diagram, if we create a scatter diagram to show the correlations between the two variables, they will go in an upward positive direction. Okay, large value of X tend to go with large value of Y. Okay, or the increase of X, the increase of the value of X tend to go with the increase of the value of Y variable. Okay, so that's positive. Now, if they are negative, if R has negative value, or if the correlation coefficient value that you calculate is negative, that means the points on the scatter diagram will go in a downward negative direction. In other words, this is how we interpret it if it is negative. The value of X, the increase of X, for instance, tends to go with the decrease of Y. Okay, so they go in a different direction or negative direction. Now, what about if it is 0, okay, or close to 0? If it is 0, then there is no correlations at all. There is no correlations between these two variables, right? Or, in other words, or if the value is around 0, like 0.05, for instance, then the correlations coefficient is quite weak. In other words, the correlations between these two variables are weak. All right, that's what we mean by scatter diagram. We use the scatter diagram for positive correlation. So if your correlations coefficient is positive, that means it will be upward positive like that. Okay, the increase of variable X, the value of variable X will also increase the value of variable Y. Okay, therefore both of them are increasing. Okay? Now, negative correlations show something like this, for instance. Okay, the increase of value of X will decrease the value of Y. If you look at that, that will decrease the value of Y. At the same time, the value of X is increasing. And this one, right? There's no correlations between the two. This is when we say the correlations coefficient value is 0 or around 0. Right? Pretty much no correlations between the two. Okay. All right. How do we perform the correlations coefficient? Well, we can use this formula. Okay, R equals yada yada. Okay, that's the formula to calculate the value of the correlations coefficients. Okay. All right, let's try that. We will try to find out. There are 6 subjects in here, or 6 people. They are our subjects of research. We try to find out the correlations between age and the glucose level. Okay, here we say age is X and glucose level is Y. So we try to find out the correlations between these 2 variables. Okay, whether the increase of X, the increase of age, also increases the glucose level. Okay, let's calculate that together. Oops. Okay, maybe a little scary to use the formula here, right? Now, luckily we can also use Microsoft Excel, like the one that we use for our trendline projection or linear regression analysis. Okay? In saying that, please also note that Mac users who do not have Office for Mac can click the link below for help. You need to perform similar steps, basically. So you can, in brief, you can also perform that using numbers on Mac. Okay, with the similar steps that we are going to discuss further. All right, what are the steps? First, type equal sign correl and open bracket like the symbol here. Second step, array the first set data or column if we array them in column using columns. Third, type comma, or sometimes the setting is changed, not comma, but a semicolon. You need to look at the instructions that appear automatically on your Excel. And then we array the second set of data or column and close bracket. Hit enter, you'll get the correlations coefficient. Simple. Okay. So let's go back to the data that we have before. Okay. Follow those steps that we just discussed. What correlations value did you get? Now let's have a look at the data. This is the data that we have before. Okay, as discussed before, types equal sign, types correl, open bracket. Okay, so see, this instruction shows that the setting my computer shows comma. Okay, array the first one. Okay, comma. Array the second one. Close bracket. Hit enter. That's one. Okay, that's the correlation coefficient value that we have for this observation. Okay. Okay, so 0.51. Okay, this means that now this is also important, as mentioned to you before, that we need to insert the we need to include our interpretation. The stats in here means nothing. We need to give the interpretation. Okay, remember the concepts that we discussed before. The value in here is positive. Therefore, the increase of age have the tendency, based on this data, 6 people, these 6 subjects of observation, assuming they represent the entire population, that means the increase of age have the tendency of the increase of glucose level. Okay? Or the correlation of these 2 variables are moderately strong, because if you look at it is around 0.5, okay, halfway through to get into to +1. Okay. Well, look, what are the other things that we can use? Well, you can look at the correlations coefficient of 2 variables, 2 other variables such as age and their IQ and their salary level, for instance, okay, or their age and salary level, for instance, or their age with, if we are conducting marketing research, we can also try to find the correlations between the other variables such as age and the selection of our product, for instance. Okay, we need to select the value of the product. Okay, right. Now the next one is look. Hopefully that is not that that difficult. So now we can shout that's easy. Again, yeah, that's easy. Okay. And remember, we also need to perform. We also need to offer the interpretation of correlation coefficient value, referring to the value that we discussed before. Okay. Okay, as a reminder, there should be 9 correlation coefficient values with interpretation for 3 brands: Twinkle, Baby Biscuit, Kiddos Ruse, and Devil Street, because we are testing 3 pairs of data: sales and A&P spend, sales and distribution, and A&P spend and intention to purchase. Therefore, to make life easier, as mentioned to you before, I would recommend you to copy and paste all data that you need to analyze from the assessment brief onto your spreadsheet. You can create graphs and perform the stats, including mean score, forecasting, and also correlations coefficient easily. Now, this is the last task, okay, for this assessment, okay, business performance. Now, you need to look at your analysis again and rank the brands, okay. Twinkle, you have 3 brands: Twinkle, Baby Biscuit, Kiddos Ruse, and also Devil Street, right? You need to rank them based on their performance, which one is the best performer, and outline your reasons of ranking. Now, how do you do that? You can look at their achievements. You can compare your forecasts, the forecast that you generate using trendline projection, and their target for the full year. Go back to the data, you'll find the target in the sales data, you'll find target for the full year. Okay, you can compare which one is larger. Okay, that shows, that's one symptom to claim, yep, one brand is performing well and the other brand is struggling, for instance. Okay. And again, outline your reasons, okay? In terms of outlining your reasons, you can go back to the technique that you use. Let's say you compare the forecast and also target full year, or you can also look at the other performance, such as the other analysis that you have performed, such as the correlations coefficients, looking at the advertising campaign, this brand does not perform, for instance, that brand is performing, or you can also look at your pastel analysis to help you, okay? All right, next up. Well, if you are still confused, right, do not get frustrated, because our recommendation is to attempt assessment 1. You can play back this recording, and this recording has been deliberately designed to be split into 4 parts. So hopefully each part will guide you through, or each task basically for you to perform. Okay, and you can call us. That's our phone number, or contact us through email. That's our email address, and we always here. This is me. I'll be here, and my friends will also be able to help you. Okay. That's basically it. Now stay tuned. We are going to have the same session, the same presentation for assessment 2. And that's my reference, and good luck, guys.